Hello everyone, it's Dan here from Thomas Roder's Support. In this video I'm going to continue to look at the custom blocks available within Insight for WordPress. So continuing from last time, we're going to head back into our demo page, and we got as far as the countdown timer, which we'll look at now. This one's very simple. We basically need to pop in a date in the format like you see below. So the year, month and date, and then hit save. Now if we update and refresh our page, you can see there, that's exactly what we've got. Pretty neat, very simple. And moving on, if we look at the next one, which is the documentation feed, this is just a simple feed of your recent documentation items. You can choose to display however many posts you want, and you can choose to display it with or without the category sidebar. So if I choose to show, say, 6 and update, you can see that's exactly what we've got here, as well as our little custom documentation we added before. And of course, if you want to have the list of documentation categories on the side, we've got you covered there too. Next up, we've got the filterable card list. This one we use quite extensively in the demo. It's very handy, especially if you're looking at creating filterable areas. So to give you an idea, oops, clicked the wrong one. To give you an idea of how this works, you simply add the card list to the page and then click the plus icon within to start adding cards. So the cards have a few variable layouts. We'll go through and show you each one. But the first thing you want to do is add a specific filter for the card. So I'll just call this filter A for now. And we'll give it a nice image. That one there. I'll put in the title. We'll give it a URL to link to. And as always, I'll grab some random blurb. So if we update, although we've only added one card, you can see there the filter that we've given it appears here. There's the card, there's the title, there's the image. Now the other layouts, in fact if I just clone this and give it a unique title, what we can do is have the text and link without any image, which we'll choose here. And finally we'll clone it one more time. We'll give it its own filter and we'll choose the image, text and link for this one. So what I'm doing here is basically showing you that each of these available fields may not necessarily display depending on the layout you've chosen. So we'll hit save. We'll refresh the page and you can see exactly what I mean by that here. So each item applies to a specific filter and each one shows varying elements of details depending on what you've chosen. Dead simple, but really cool. Moving back into the demo page back end, we'll move on to the flex list. Now this is a fairly simple or simplistic type of block which gives you a neat list of items. Now what I mean by that you'll see in a moment. I'm just going to set up a basic example. And we'll hit update and refresh. Okay, so you can see in this first example we've got an icon, a text, and it links off to wherever we want it to. What we can do also, if I just fill in the rest, we can choose to have an icon image which will override the icon itself, and of course we can specify the link. But if I clone this, and for the next one I'll choose the alternate layout. If I clone again, I'll choose one more. And finally I'll clone one more time and we'll choose the final layout type. So that'll give you an idea of what each of these different layouts do. So here we go, you can see we've got a nice list of items, each one displayed slightly differently with or without an icon, depending on the display type you've chosen. Now I think I'll do one more block in this video before moving on. I'm trying to keep these fairly concise so I don't bore you. We'll go for the header block. Now this one here is used on a lot of pages. It's basically a nice hero area where you can have a lovely image with some text on top, etc. Some really nice stuff. I'll just pop in an image here. We can specify the opacity for the background image, so if you want to have it completely opaque or slightly, it's totally up to you. You can choose one of the various layouts. I'll go through a few of these in a second. I'll just pop in a video URL here, and we need a cover image if we're putting a video in, so I will choose this one here. Although I've filled this in completely, you will notice not all of the areas are shown. It depends on the layout you choose. But now I've got that set up, I'll just pop in my infamous random blurb, and we'll take a look and see what that looks like by default. So there we go. Now we have covered this in another video, but what you will notice is there is some area around this, and with this particular block you may want to have it fill the entire width of the page. So what we need to do is to go to our section settings, we choose stretch section and content, and in the design tab we want to remove those paddings by setting these to 0. So if we update and refresh, that's exactly what you can expect. So if we go through a few of the various layouts, you can see here we can have the text to the left, which we've got, text to the right. We can have a nice gradient background, which if I just update and show you, there we go. Now you can see that's given it a lovely subtle gradient over the background image. That can also work really well if you want to specify a more opacity for the image. We can choose to have a color overlay as well as breadcrumbs. Which we've got there. You can have it centered. Which is a really nice effect. And just to show off what the video would look like, we'll choose one with the inline video as well. So you can see there we've got our background image with the gradient overlay as you'd expect. Oops, looks like I popped in the wrong URL there. Let me just correct that. What I mean here is if you're using the modal video, you would use the watch URL. But because we want to use the inline embed in this particular example, you need the embed URL, which we've given you an example here of what that might look like. So I just save and refresh. You can see that's exactly how that works. But conversely, if you wanted to use the modal video, as I've said, then we need to change the URL style to suit for the video, which would look like this. If I just hit save and refresh. There you go. Okay, that's it for this video. It's getting a bit long, so I'll move on to the next blocks in the next video. Any questions, do come see me over at support.